Good evening, folks. Welcome to the Ragz and Jack cast. Jack's not here, so it's just me this evening. We're supposed to have a guest on tonight, the Angry Bootneck, but he hasn't appeared either, so something must have went wrong. I'll give him a bit of time to come in, but if they don't come in, what we'll do is I'll drop a link in and we'll open up the chat to everybody. I have a couple of clips and videos and stuff to watch that I thought you might be interested in. I wanted to get different people's opinions on it. I see Emma's in, Amanda's in, Hasdack's in, Dennis is in, Steve Cray's in, I'm in there too, Baz is in. So, right. How's everybody's week been? I've seen the latest in the political polls. The Conservative Party are no longer conservative. They are now Marxists. And keys to the kingdom. Well, there's John. You're not proud. We need him more than ever now. Baz is in. So, this phone keeps on dinging at me. Turn it off and it keeps on dinging at me. Right, let's start with this. I found this guy on Telegram, and I think he's absolutely brilliant. They just call him the Irish Git, or he calls himself the Irish Git. And he just takes things out of the newspapers and puts them together and just exposes the whole lot of them, which I find fascinating. So let's see what the Angry Git has, or the Irish Git has for us this week.
From the Irish Times this morning. Asylum seekers set to leave Santry Hotel worried they will end up in tents. Mohammed Kamara, 30, an asylum seeker from Sierra Leone. Wait a minute, what did the Irish Examiner say last night? Dublin Hotel tells more than 400 Ukrainian refugees they must leave. Ukrainian? Would the 4 journalists who have their name on this piece, or anybody at the Irish Examiner, tell us how exactly a man from a country 4,975 kilometres away from Ukraine, residing in Ireland, could be Ukrainian? Or why you're lying and misleading the Irish people. But you wouldn't do that, sure you wouldn't. Oh no, wait a minute, I take that back.
Muted. I muted myself. My bad. If you play them small clips, you have to mute yourself. But if you play in other videos, it automatically mutes you. So, yes, Dennis, it's a BC Rich Warlock. And there's several others on behind me there. So, Boomer Take, yes. Black Pigeon, yes, definitely black. Yes, I blame my age. So, what else have we got for you? It's really, really good.
And most commonly is caused just by periods, women with heavy periods. But if you're a man or a woman whose periods have stopped, it can...
Wait a minute, what did she say?
But if you're a man or a woman whose periods have stopped,
If you're a man or a woman whose period has stopped. Wait a minute, I'm 34 and I've never had a period. Nay, come here, should I be worried about this?
What's really excellent is, and it's a statistic that I think should be shouted from the rooftops, is that after 12 days from the first vaccination of the AstraZeneca vaccine, you are 100% effective against hospitalisation and death.
Sorry folks, it looks like it was a false alarm. It seems she has form for talking through her arse.
Yeah, he's not far wrong. He just picks the media apart like that. Because they say one thing one day and then it's completely different the next day. It's like 400 Ukrainian refugees that have landed in Ireland. Which one's this?
Anybody that knows Bray Manor is a nursing home will know that was never frosted up. What's this? How you doing? Is this a provision centre now?
Yeah.
It is a provision centre.
Yeah.
Okay. Does everybody in the community know that this is a provision centre?
No, this is crazy.
You're just a security guard here, because this used to be a nursing home for many, many years. And lots of local residents lived in here, died in here. You know, it's a big part of our town. And now all the local residents, old age pension, have been put out to make room for so-called refugees. Yeah. Now, some of the refugees that are in here are from Killarney. Yeah, and Wicklow Town. Yeah, from the Grand Hotel in Wicklow. Right, okay. Right. There you have it, folks. There you have it. Brand new mountain bikes. Mountain bikes. 4 mountain bikes. 5 mountain bikes. Take a handyman, yeah?
No, that's what they're doing in the Republic of Ireland at the minute. I'm not too sure. Maybe 42 knows what they're doing more up around the north. Because I don't see it up around here. I'm further north compared to 42. Fuck off, Discord. How do you stop notifications on Discord, folks? That's the wrong thing. I really need to get a few classes for computers and stuff. Learn how to use them properly. It doesn't mean nothing. There's Harold's in this evening. Evening, Harold. What have we got here? English Bulldogs in. 42 is in. Otto's in. Historical Doppelganger. What's he saying? Just watching the video from the Irish fella saying a bunch of refugees in the building. Yes, I've watched that. There's also a woman in, I can't mind if it was Dublin. It's the business sector of some place in Ireland. And it was offices, and they were actually converting the offices into like twin bed cubicles. And they're coming off the bus. This wee tiny woman, and there's only one wee woman filming them, and she's going, "You're not Ukrainian," and they're not. They're chocolate coloured, and they are fingers up, laughing, smiling, and waving at her, and everything else. Not one woman or child. So there's a mouse cat in. Ludwig, evening, sir. The adopted daughter of Ulster, Emma G. Yeah, well, it does help. It helps sort of get the channel out there a bit more. I've shared it around this afternoon, but usually we get a lot more in, but who cares? It's cozy this way. Yeah, oh, I can't get onto the Wave Builder. It does my nothing. You try and stop the notifications from certain channels, time them out and stuff. Still doesn't bloody work. Still pops up every 2 seconds. Oh, this was a good one. I thought this was really good. The laptop. We've all heard of the laptop. the Hunter Biden laptop. Elon Musk bought Twitter, as we all know, and they were all back on Twitter, which is cool. But do you think Elon Musk is a pressure valve or a savior? One in the chat if you think he's a gatekeeper. He's only there to release the tension. Or does he actually believe his convictions? Screen.
Some happening over of release internal discussion in the censorship of Hunter Biden's library ahead of 2020, saying it's necessary to quote restore trust. He will also suspended Twitter accounts after his followers voted to bring them back. We also know what's next for Twitter Blue for government. Joining the conversation all morning long. Christian, on this, the thing about uncovering and releasing why Twitter censored that Hunter Biden story, it wasn't that it was knee-jerk. I kind of get that, but they censored it and then continued to censor it, and the Twitter account was live for 2 weeks. They had time to figure out that it was there.
Right. This wasn't a story that in our corner of the dark web came from New York Post. That material evidence to accompany reporting. There were photos, and of course you can fake a photo. Hunter Biden and President Biden have never denied the existence of the laptop or any of the photos. So this was a very credible story that Twitter decided to censor. Myself, I started account at the time. I later account when I retweeted one of the photos of Hunter Biden doing something interesting that caused my account to be locked. And the question is, was this just progressives saying, "Hey, we need to stop this story because this could be damaging to then Vice President, former Vice President Biden"? It was played FBI. Or the D involved in that.
Right, and we're out there, former intelligence information and John Lyon, this is a rhetorical question, but have any of those former intelligence officials paid any kind of price at all for spreading that, lie, the Hunter Biden lie?
Not that I know of. And this is a scary example of possible state-controlled media that you associate with the old Soviet Union and Germany in the 1930s. This is very scary. If I am an American citizen, not only do we have political bias on the part of the mainstream media, but we have the federal government itself trying to reinforce and guide this political bias.
Right. It's a violation of the First Amendment. And every American should be, if there was government involvement all in the censorship of this story, it's particularly right ahead of a presidential election. The timing of it was so, and the censorship was so egregious that everyone be concerned that if the government has its hands in silencing speech.
There's talking about is a great threat to our democratic practices in the United States. It has to be exposed and brought to an end as soon as possible. At least have transparency where they admit that the government goes through this process of trying to shift media attention in order to prevent an unfavored candidate from winning an election.
And Kristen, before we go, the CBS News just published this. Well, not published, but aired this story of, we've confirmed Biden's laptop. Didn't they? I asked this, why now? Why would they do that now, knowing that they would be a target for ridicule given the timing of it.
It's bizarre.
Right.
Right. And also just paused for a couple of hours their involvement in Twitter to see if it was still safe. Why?
He hasn't been seen in months. And then next month, the midterms come up and the laptop comes out afterwards. And what was it? Ooh, who's an American in the chat? What was the thing Biden gave the students? They had to pay back their loans for their university courses, or is it college? One of them, I'm not too sure. Leave it already. And they said they got it passed by Congress by one vote. It never went through Congress. And all these liberal youngsters went out and voted for Democrats, which is now, the count's still going on in some states, I think. You know, even here in this backward wee country that I live in, you can have a vote on a day and they can actually count the elections in that day. You know, they don't have to take 3 weeks. We also had an election at the same time. It was Mexico. South America somewhere. And they could count their votes in a day. But you can't talk about that on YouTube. Sorry, YouTube, Sarah or Sar. So, where are we at here? Let's do it off up there. Right, no, we're just chatting amongst yourselves. I thought you were giving me useful information there. BBC question thing, where was it? I think this guy, if you could give him a follow, We Got a Problem. It's brilliant, and he picks them apart.
The video and all.
We got a problem.
Bad potato damage control. Truth that many vilify then, but yes, the media public to 8 tax cuts, which have now turned into tax rises. They'll moan about when they hear it's literally the world, and that is show clip that we.
I mean, Liz Truss was utterly defenestrated by the Treasury and by the Bank of England. Now, I want to put another. No, it did not. The Bank of England printed £500 billion worth of cash when Rishi Sunak, ran the economy, did £100 billion of cash without the economy down. 500.
I think we're getting slightly far away from strikes.
And Liz Truss was trashed because there was the pension funds, because they'd over leveraged, and the Bank of England wasn't prepared to buy more than £20 billion worth of gilts. Liz Truss had the right idea. You cannot get out of this problem without. The only way for wages to go up, the only way for debt to come under control is for the economy to grow. That is the only way. You will not do it through austerity. You will not do it by sitting on people's wages. You will not do it through higher taxations. We have borrowed to the hilt. Taxation is as high as it can be now, and the UK is destined to enter a doom loop in the economy unless the Tories can get a grip of growth.
So did you notice the people laughing at the start of that compared to the applause at the end? The BBC laughed while the public cheered. That is very telling. Now, him pointing out the fact that what Liz Truss tried to do was railroaded by the Treasury and Bank of England is actually correct, as is the part where he calls out Rishi Sunak's £500 billion borrowing spree to lock down the country. This, I'm sure you heard, had Fiona Bruce interrupting him while claiming he's getting off topic talking about strikes. This, as you know, is damage control, pure and simple, because he's bloody right and both are actually related. If we didn't lock down while borrowing $500 billion, then we wouldn't have mass inflation and all the other shit that gives unions the excuses to call these strikes. This is what Ben Habib is trying to say there, which you can see by the Conservative MP's arsehole puckering up tighter than a snare drum. You know is bloody true.
That is the only way. You will not do it through austerity. You will not do it by sitting on people's wages. You will not do it through higher taxations. We have borrowed to the hilt. Taxation is as high as it can be now.
There we have both the BBC and Tories running damage control because someone decided to spit a bit of truth on TV. Both for guilty lockdown and the damage the part two running damage control.
He's right. Ben Habib has come here and tried to work on very true, work on the Northern Ireland EU splitting us up with the border down the Irish Sea. They came up with some brilliant ideas on how to tackle it. I think he's, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, is he in that used to be the Brexit Party? It's now called, is it Reform by Richard Tice? Yes, so Richie Sunak put us into more debt than my grandkids and their grandkids and their grandkids and their grandkids and their grandkids will still be paying for it. You know, I was watching a thing today, and really highly intelligent fellow was saying Britain only paid off its debts for the slave trade in 2015. And the slave trade was, what, 400 years ago? So we've been paying for that, our taxpayers have been paying for that since the 1600s. Unbelievable. Yeah, thank you, Roy. I thought it was that. It's Richard Tice. But then they have Captain Gatekeeper, Nigel Farage. I know he forced the government into getting us out of Europe, pushing them. What did you call the Prime Minister at the time? That's sleazy, that fucker. He disappeared off the face of the planet after that. Forcing them into the referendum. But do we really have Brexit, folks? Do we? Didn't stop mass immigration, did it? Didn't stop mass illegal immigration. Spanish chickens, huh? Even Spanish chicken. Same as pay. Well, in saying that, there's Spanish chicken. I think there was an English lord on, and he was talking about reparations, the war reparations Germany owed Great Britain. They would have been still paying them today. So But Britain let them off with it in 1955. They just gave them a clean sheet. Meeting up, yes. Yeah, Nick Fuentes and Milo. I seen that on YouTube today. Can't mind whose channel it was on. Walking through an airport, they were seen together, as far as I know. That's American politics. I sort of can't wrap my head around it, because there's lots of different things that they're putting Trump up against your man. What do you call that guy? I like him. He's Mexican. He's a Mexican heritage. What's his name? He's got the best state in the country at the minute. He's talking about running in 2024. Paul from Newcastle. Evening, Paul. DeSantis, that's the one. Back pigeon. Cheers. DeSantis. I sort of like his politics. You know, he didn't close his state down during the pandemic and stuff, and there was no more or no less ill people compared to other states. And seemingly they can count their votes in a day. I don't know the actual population of DeSantis' state, but I would say there's a fair lot of them, you know. Ron DeSantis, Ron DeSantis. I think he would actually make a good president, especially if he picked a good vice president. Because that other boy Trump had is now out with a book, all telling. What do you call that? Sleazy bugger. Injun, what? How do you pronounce that? The governor of Florida, I think that's the one. Yes, cheers. But he didn't close anything down. He let everybody go back to work. He let everybody, you know, he didn't mandate for jobs. I'm not too sure if he mandated for the masks and stuff, but Mike Pence, that's the one. Cheers 42. He's a sleazy bugger. He's now doing the tour of all the channels and American telly. I would watch Fox a lot and things like that there, and they have him on promoting his new book, you know, Tell All. There you go. How's it going, bud? There's my future wife. Oh, Kate. No, nail it down. Sorry, that was rude. So, what else have I got for you? No, that's not it. That's it. I thought this was weird. Just bear with me.
Here's one of the main things I hate about living in the countryside. Please don't mind what's on my chin. I'm breaking out. Give me some tips. Guys, okay, listen. There's little to no noise around here, okay? That's not a problem, yeah? But look, this place is a literal ghost town. A literal ghost town. I moved from Balbriggan to here 11 years ago. So I've been living in here for quite a long time, yeah? Tell me why after 11 years, white people still don't know how to act when they see a black person running around the countryside. So funny because so many white women will see me, then they will tap their husbands and be like, Jesus, Philip, I didn't know any niggers lived around here. Yeah, Quiva, there's a lot of niggers around here. They're not going anywhere. I feel like it's so much different if you live in like Blanchardstown or Tella or Lucan or Balbriggan even, because there's diversity everywhere. Do you know that there's only one Asian couple in this whole little countryside? One Asian person. It's crazy, but I only have a few weeks left here, so I don't really care.
Thoughts, folks? It's always welcome to go back to your own homeland. The word. Yes, that's my answer for them all. It saves a lot of bother. What's that? Yeah, that's what I thought. You know, when you're carrying on with the missus and you put your fresh boxer shorts on top of your head, you know, try to wear it as a hat. That's what that looked like. Not that I do that. Oh, I'll tell you what she's not. Irish. I've seen this with big Scottish question. It's been going on for the past week or so. And these people are flying in, and as soon as you step foot in Scotland, you're Scottish. No, you're fucking not. You know, the Scottish people have a long heritage of having their own lands. They've been there for 42. You'll probably be able to tell us more. They've been there for fucking thousands of years. What else? Very good.
Excuse me, what's happening here? What's happening here? Excuse me, I am a resident here. I want to know what's going on. What's your name?
What's something to do with me?
I'm asking you a question though. What's going on here? Yeah, but this is an office block. This is an apartment or a hotel.
It's the government. This is the government doing this.
But then it's okay for residents, is it? These aren't Ukrainians. No, but there's not one woman and child on this bus either. Not one woman and child. All men. All men. There's kids and everything in these apartments. Not one of them are vetted.
Not one woman, not one child. They'll all claim to be under what's the refugee child age? 26. If they all claim to be under 26, they're all child refugees. That was the business district. That was an empty block of business offices, and they've now converted them into accommodation for these people. This can only end badly, folks, and it will end badly. There's an African evening, sir. What's Harold saying? Harold said earlier on in the chat there, it says an invasion without a shot fired. Where are we at here? The chat's moving quickly now, so I'm trying to catch up. Cameron football. There's even Lord England. Oh, I'd say I'm not too sure what the feeling. I have a load of English followers and stuff, and they come on here and they chat away and stuff. But I've never really actually gotten into their inner psyche, what they're actually feeling. Do they feel as if they're being pushed out of their own lands, which is obvious. They're being pushed out of their own lands. I've freaking video evidence of them actually admitting to what they're doing. So, don't know if I find that one. Is that it? No, that's not it. Maybe that's it. But 2066. That's not the one. Sorry, folks.
So now we have two vaccines that are really quite.
Not that one.
History is truly at a turning point.
It's the beginning of a global mobilization effort to rally our forces behind this great reset initiative.
Energy systems, food systems, and supply chains will be deeply affected. We will destroy, unfortunately, a lot of employment. The future is already here. It's coming like a tsunami. Just think of sensors planted into our brains. The opportunities are immense, and we have to prepare ourselves already now.
The most important thing to know about the future is that humans will soon be hackable animals.
Elites may gain the power to re-engineer the future of life itself. Science is replacing evolution by natural selection with evolution by intelligent design. Not the intelligent design of some god above the clouds, but our intelligent design.
Freedom is the.
The Woodlander's right there. They've actually admitted it. I just can't find the video at the minute, folks. But the man says they need more African immigration into Europe to sustain a workforce because we're not breeding, apparently. Yet, I was watching a couple of Southern Irish fellows there the other night, and he said that was an absolute lie. There's more kids than enough running about with prams and this and that, and where I live here, all I see is ones pushing prams. New wee babies, new wee toddlers, young families. A young fella walking up the road there pushing a pram for his missus, and she has another one on a wee, what do you call them things? It's like a lead to make the kid doesn't run under the road. And there was two wee ones in this pram, and he was like a dog with two dicks. He was as proud as punch. I'm going to drop the link in here if anybody wants to come in, if 42 is available, or Black Pigeon wants to come in, or Exile wants to come in. Where are we at here? Copy that. Knock that off. Hit that there. Paste that in there. See, I can get around technology. Yeah. All of these ears now, that could be Spock. But what Woodlander says is they're deplorable. They've actually admitted to it. They're sitting around big, dark mahogany wooden tables in some European commission. And this guy's sitting going, yes, we have to import more Africans and this and the other. If you look at Ireland, it was mentioned on 42 stream last night about, there's that stream. Oh yeah, Exile, how's it going, bud?
Good evening, Ragnar. It's going very well, thank you. How's your own evening?
Not too bad. I've just got a message from Angry Bootneck. He forgot all about it. He's been on the piss all week. So,
cool.
I'll just answer him here. Sorry, right. Get back. Where did you go? You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Right. No. I wish I could find that video. I'd like to get people's opinions on it. But there's this wee grey, sort of shaveny grey-haired guy with glasses sitting at this big table in Europe, going on about how we're going to, bring all these Africans in. And then you look at 42's chat last night, and we mentioned it.
Yeah.
It was I think it's Wicklow. The Chinese have bought up enough land to build a mega city for 1 million Chinese people. Andy Gandhi, as we call him, Leo Varadkar, the Indian puffer that was their Taoiseach, their Prime Minister, had signed them up to Agenda 2040, where they're now accepting 1 million black people from Africa into Ireland. At the minute, the population of Ireland are only 75% of their own population. So 75% of the 4 million, I think there's 5 million there now. Let's round it off, we'll say there's 5 million. Only 4 of them are naturally born native Irish people. 4 million out of the 5 million. Now that has to make a massive effect on a country, on a nation, on its history, on its traditions, on its, And I get mates there sending me stuff, like the traditional Irish dancing. The Scottish dancing, they dance with their arms above their head and they do all this.
Yes.
Irish,
yeah,
they stand with their arms down the side, and they have this big sort of manor house, and this Irish music starts up, and you think, oh, cool, it's going to be sort of traditional stuff. 4 black girls in their Irish dresses, the way they do them with the embroidery and stuff on them, and what the actual fuck, And you think, right, well, they're here, they're sort of trying to get into the culture and stuff, and they're maybe trying to fit in. Fair enough. And then the next video somebody saying to you is of a black man running through the streets of Bollock naked. And you're like, okay, that just happened. Spanish chicken, minority Irish by 20. I think it's going to be an over chicken, or a sooner. It's like the 2066. And what did you call him? Reverend Simon Saypeace. When he hosted the debate between Laura Taylor and what did you call him? Ricky Doolan.
Ricky Doolan.
He said on the predictions, if things stay as they are, but with mass immigration going up and up and up, it'll be sooner than 2066.
Oh yeah. I would think actually in Ireland's case, I would say Dublin is sooner or later it's going to become the Irish equivalent of London. There'll be so many different nationalities there, and the native Dubliners will be a minority in their own city. It's just every time I'm in Dublin, it's normally just to get a flight via Dublin. It's just I go outside and it's just very few white Irish people. I just see a lot of mixed race, a lot of foreign nationals, and I'm thinking, where are all the actual Irish people? It really boils my blood, Ragnar, because it's just every time I'm passing through Dublin, it's less and less white faces and more BAMEs and Chinese and everything else. So I think Dublin will become a minority by maybe 2035, just my estimate for a number, and it just seems they're so woke and more concerned about political correctness than pushing back because they're all scared of the old R word. Yeah. I don't see what the excuse is. I mean, they really clearly don't give a damn about their heritage, or they've just been so brainwashed into submission that they're like, oh, we better not rock the boat. We better just accept it, even if it kills us. Yeah, well, I get sick of it. It's why I actually do not like going to Dublin at all. I try to avoid it, but flights, unfortunately, have always involved a transfer in Dublin International. And hell, even the Garda, I've seen a lot more black Gardas in the airport, and I'm thinking, I remember a day when all the Gardas were white people. Now it's like 3 black guys and 1 white woman if you're lucky.
I had a mate there. He said that he delivers for a company up here, and they deliver meats, produce to hotels and restaurants and stuff all around North and South. And he says he hates going to Dublin. He says he can't stand it. He says when you're driving around the city, he says there's not one Irish person there. He says when you get to the hotels to deliver off the lamb shanks or whatever you're delivering, he says the person receiving the meat, the person that's signing for it and stuff, they're not even Irish. He says it's a foreign land. Dublin is
Yeah. Well, the thing that really annoyed me, the reason why I clicked on the StreamYard was because after that video of the women in Dublin filming the busload of so-called refugees, actually today I saw very similar in Glasgow city centre. I saw a whole busload of African guys. Now, I wasn't able to ascertain if they were refugees, asylum seekers, or it was a tour from somewhere, but none of them were speaking English. And it's just they were collecting their cases from the boot of the bus and going into the hotel right next to George Square. Now, of course, I didn't go up and ask the driver or anybody, but it just made me think of that video because I saw that video a few days ago, actually, and it really boiled my blood. I thought it's very reminiscent of that. So that was why I wanted to come on and talk, just to share my grievances with something that I saw. Seems that Scotland as well is not immune to all this invasion. Our own leader, Nicola Sturgeon, just seems to like having them in more and more, and it's just to the detriment of everybody else.
if you have all the LGBT stuff in the city, and they're talking about this university professor, he does reverse psychology on them. He says you have to have different points of view, different opinions. You can't have. So if a neo-Nazi group moves into that city, they must have the right to speak too. And he destroyed a class of these university morons. Yes, I noticed. I eventually noticed. I caught him on. There's a lovely Mrs. Meehan. Boomer take again. I will speak to you in sign language. But there's RILF Scottish. He lives in Holland, and he says when he moved there, the place that he lives, the street was just all Dutch people. And he says, I think he's been there 15, 16 years or something. And he is now the only white guy in the street. You know, he's the only white guy in the village. So, and it's happening so fast, it's unbelievable. There's my brother, he has moved several times now in England, and he likes them wee idyllic villages in the south of England, you know, where you have a wee group of houses, a shop, a church, and maybe a school, and that's it. There's a pub. There has to be a pub. But they notice the change. You know, next minute, it's all English people, the next minute it's not.
Yeah.
There's one comes in, then another comes in, then another comes in, and then you're the only one. You're the only white man left with your wife. It's taken over everything. But what Lander said there was very, very correct. Britain needs mass deportation and repatriation. There's last night, Sadiq Khan's London again. How many dead? How many injured? And you can guarantee they weren't our people. I'm still getting used to this reading the chat and speaking to the guests and stuff. I don't know how Chris does it. He's like screen up here and he's watching here and he's looking at the camera talking to you and stuff. And that's like juggling 3 balls at once. I can't do that. What's Harold saying? Yeah, totally in vain. I say this in a lot of streams. My father's father and his brothers and stuff, they all went off 1939 to 45. Their father before them went to the trenches, 1916 and stuff, and their uncles and things like that there. Some of them didn't come back, some of them did. Well, they had to come back or I wouldn't be here. What would them men be thinking now? They'd be fucking rolling in their graves.
Yeah.
They literally, they're hanging their heads in shame. They would be fucking gutted to see what's happened. No, it's not so bad here, especially where I live. And a lot of the surrounding areas are all the same. We're all the same people. But it's being done by stealth here. Traditionally, females here are certain height. They're small built. And the guys are sort of, 5'10", 5'11", 6'2", and around that. The next minute you're starting to notice these women in the shopping places, Tesco's and Lidl, not sponsored. And they're 5'9", 6 foot, all blonde haired or black haired with blue eyes and stuff. And what's the biggest giveaway is when they start talking to each other, they ain't speaking English or Irish for that matter, And they buy the weirdest fucking shit. There's special sections for them to buy whatever they eat in their own country.
Clearly, with no interest to integrate, if they just want all their own food and their own stuff.
No.
There's a shop near me which just sells African produce, and just the amount of black guys going in there, none of them speaking English. So yeah, I can totally relate to that, Ragnar.
Yeah.
They have no interest in us at all.
Yeah, but there was one thing that came up there. They're talking about them AMA clubs, and Dangerfield's big into this AMA and this man-on-man fighting thing. What does he call it? It's not AMA. It's something else. But yes, we know you're 5 foot tall. That's when you're on your feet. Usually you're lying flat on your back, and isn't me in it. After you've slipped on something going down the road. That was a story she told us one night. She was in the dark, and the next minute she was on her backside. AMA. Is it AMA? I'm not too sure. It's illegal. It's illegal fighting thing they have going on. But there's clubs now starting up around here, and they're not Northern Irishmen. No, they're Polish. They're Albanians. They're
Albanians.
We still probably have. I know Korean still has its traditional boxing club. I used to go to it as a child. It's still there. But these boys are learning to really, really hurt people.
Oh yeah, sounds like underground boxing clubs.
Yeah. like the old traditional bare knuckle stuff. But now they're in with their feet and their elbows and everything else. Everything goes, you know. And they're just out to hurt you. Make sure you stay down.
Well, with these people, it's very simple. There's no rules. Fight or be killed. And many of these clubs, the people who have been fighting them have died as a result of the brawling, and they've just been discreetly buried somewhere. I'm pretty sure that's been the case. And then they just become regarded as a missing person eventually.
Not sure what that is. Dagestan? What's a Dagestan? No idea.
Sounds like a Central Asian country.
But no, Chris would put them up on the what we call it there, and you would see them. It is fucking barbaric, it's brutal, but it's like what men do. Men fight. You know, that's basically what we're bred to do. Fight and provide. That's built into our DNA. The same as racism. You know, racism was a new concept of a word in the early 1800s. You know, what is racism? The desire to protect your family, look after your own homeland and your own community. That's basically the definition of racism. You know, Michael Pagan, evening, sir. Good to have you. You know, I'm sure the Asian countries didn't want white people coming to them. I'm sure the Africans didn't want white people coming to them.
Racism, Ragnar, is just a buzzword created by Marxists to silence opposition and criticism. And some people say it's just anti-white is what it means in code word. Well, to me, it's just anything the left doesn't agree with.
Yeah, basically.
That's it.
Did you watch the news? Your man, Keir Starmer, now coming out talking about retraining. Today's definition. Yeah, that's it. But we're racist. Black people can't be racist. Asian people can't be racist. Yeah, it's only us that can be. You know. Where was it? What was I talking about? Came out the day.
But it's not only Keir Starmer who would say things like that. It's everybody on the left. They all think that only white people can be racist. Well, let me be the first to tell you, I've had my share of racial abuse from black guys when I was growing up. I won't say some of the words, but it was proof that they are also very racist. And if not towards white people, to each other, because I know positively many African countries hate one another murderously. So there's real racism.
Yeah. Well, Hard makes a good point. You know, I say it in different streams. Men don't go to war because they hate what's. Men go to war not because they hate what's in front of them. It's because they love what's behind them. You know, you go off to war to protect your family, to protect your children, to protect your homeland. You know, they don't go off just because they hate people. It's for the love of their own nation. No, but Keir Starmer was actually trouting right-wing politics during the week about training up our own people and stopping more, cheap labour coming into Britain. It was them fuckers in the first place that brought them here. With Tony Blair in, what was it? Was it 98?
Tony Blair, yeah. It was after 97 that started.
That was it. When he famously said they were going to rub the Tories' noses in diversity. And did the Tories stop it?
No.
Oh, chance.
They just continued Labour's legacy.
Yes.
That's it.
Was I call them their two cheeks of the same arsehole?
To me, I just call the Labour the Red Tories because there's not much to choose between the two of them.
Their policies are all the same. Yeah, no, that's true. Historical doppelganger, he's on the money there. See Snoopy's in. Even Snoopy. So, hello, Pig. But no, he's now trending with these right-wing policies, you know, and he thinks that's going to win him the next election. I'm just Matt D. Evening, Matt. The next election is going to be fucking interesting because you can't vote for the Tories, you can't vote for Labour. Is this Richard Tice guy going to be the next big thing, or is he just another gatekeeper? Like Nigel Farage that started the party, and he started it as the Brexit Party. Then they changed the name. He said, "When we leave Europe, we can that gives us more room to employ more Africans." While at a function in Dublin, he was at. He stood on the table with a pint and shouted "Chucky Arla," which everybody knows is an IRA call, you know.
I've heard a lot of idiots coming out with "ooh ah up the rah." It really irritates me when I hear it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the same people that killed 4,500 Northern Irish people, men, women, and children on both sides of the community. A bomb on your main street doesn't discriminate. It doesn't go, hold on a second, are you Catholic or Protestant? I'm Catholic. That's okay. You walk on. I'm not going to blow up until you get past. You know. Thank you, Kate.
I've actually had this conversation on Twitter recently. It was I don't know even if he was Irish or he was just a plastic paddy, but he was trying to justify the violence from the IRA in Northern Ireland as justified, saying, well, if the British would leave, there would not have been necessary all these killings. And then I said, yeah, but what about the people living there who were killed and they were not part of it? Well, there's always casualties, collateral. And it just was going on saying that the loyalists are the ones that always started it, so the IRA would defend themselves, which is absolute nonsense because we know absolute bullshit.
There's a man in the chat who knows the exact history of it. I know a lot about it. 42 knows a hell of a lot more than me. It was the Unionist people setting up paramilitaries to defend themselves.
I know.
So, but yes, so you do get the plastic paddies, and I have had a few run-ins with them on YouTube and all. And the guy standing there with the Liverpool scarf on and freaking this video of himself on his own channel with a Scouser accent, and he's arguing with me about his plight as an Irishman. What? Okay.
I wonder what his plight was, not getting his beers on time.
Who knows?
Fucking idiot.
Couldn't get his fucking
No, it was an idiot. About a month ago, I went to a pub with my mate. And this guy he had an English accent, a young student who said that he was born in Belfast and grew up in England, but I don't know. But then he just started mentioning, oh, I'm all for a united Ireland. And I said, but what if the people in Ulster don't want it? Oh, don't call it Ulster. That's so offensive to Irish nationalists. I said, well, that's what it's called, Ulster. I said, so why do you want a united? Well, Ireland belongs to the Irish, and these unionists and these British can basically fuck off back to England if they so want to be unionists. I said, yeah, but they're born there. That's their country. Why should they go? Don't they get a say? And he says they have had their chance for peace, but they keep attacking people with sectarianism. And I went, you know what, mate? I don't think you have a clue what you're talking about. So shut your mouth. And he shut it.
There's a man in the chat that knows all about it. He done 3 tours here. And crossed my glen.
Oh, fucking hell, lovely. The only place I've been to, I like slightly less than Middlesbrough. Sorry, it was nicer. See, it was more scenic than Middlesbrough, but the locals were chewier than in Middlesbrough. That's some of the only place I've been where people want to fight you more than they do in the borough. How's everyone doing?
Doing good.
We're covering a bit of stuff that's happening in Ireland at the minute.
Oh, please brief me. I've been woefully away from the news for the last week, so you can give me a heads up. I've not been paying attention.
We had a wee Irish lady, and I think it's in Dublin, in the sort of city centre, where they have a block of offices. Now the government have taken the empty offices and they split them into 2-bedroom cubicles, and they're bussing in Ukrainians.
Ukrainians that look like the fucking captain of Captain Phillips. I am Ukrainian now.
This tiny wee woman filming away, and on her Todd, brave as fuck, not a man around her, and they're all sitting laughing at her and peace and next, there's undocumented. Nobody knows who they are, where they're from. They're definitely not from Ukraine. That's a fucking given, because there's Ukrainians here and they don't look like that.
Yeah. It's laughable, isn't it? I did see that months ago now, probably, where there was about 30 of them getting greeted at the airport in Dublin, and they were like, "Welcome, Ukrainians," and like out of the 30, 28 of them looked like fucking Idris Elba. I mean, I might be wrong, but I don't think the ethnically homogenous Ukrainians typically look like unless they all live next door to a tanning tubes place or what, I don't know. The thing with that is, right, the Irish, as a large part of them, are sort of suicidal, because it seems to me the hatred, which let's get into the politics quickly. A large part of that is entirely the fault of very long distance, but English people like Cromwell. I don't think anybody who knows the history can say, hey, the Irish have got no business being pissed off at the English. But I think there's a significant minority of them that dislike the English to the point where they don't care where anyone's from as long as they're not English. So I think they're a bit suicidal. And the Scottish are like that as well, aren't they? The Scottish are like ridiculously pro-undocumented immigrant, which it's a bit crazy to me. I feel as if they're clever because the commies have cleverly attached themselves to nationalism, but really it's not nationalism, it's communism, because it can't be a coincidence that in Wales, Ireland, so you've got Plaid Cymru, Sinn Féin, SNP, all of them are hardcore nationalists, but the commies. So it seems to me that you're going to have to make a decision if you consider yourself an Irish, a Welsh or a Scottish nationalist. You're going to have to ask yourself a very simple question. Do you wish to have nothing to do with the English more than you wish to actually have a country that still is going to look like it should do in 50 years' time? And again, I'm sorry, go on.
You still there, bud?
Yeah, I'm still here. I was just saying. I wanted to just add there. You're absolutely correct about all these so-called nationalists. They're not even nationalists at all. At best, they're pseudo-nationalists. And the one thing that really annoys me about Republic of Ireland, there's so many of them still banging on about 100 years ago, the English did this, the English did that. You would think that the way they were talking, that they were still under the rule of the English. Well, there's only one group of people oppressing them now, and that's called the EU. It's not Britain anymore. But they're so hypnotized to think the EU is wonderful and the British is still the bastard. And yet, it was 100 years ago they gave them back Ireland. So I don't know why they continue with this absolute craziness in their heads. It just says a lot about the Irish. And I know that's a general sweeping there. But the ones I've met are all pretty thick and annoying. I'm sorry, I've only met annoying Irish people.
Anybody who's needlessly chippy is a bit annoying. I'm annoying because I'm chippy. But I'd defend the Irish there and say it's all of the small nations, isn't it? Scotland, Ireland, and Wales have I won't say a majority, but it's a significant minority that are super chippy and fucking despise the English in a way that doesn't really make any logical sense. Because there's another one. I mean, I don't want to start sounding like I'm some sort of ethnic, because I definitely am not. But I am a nationalist. And I think that it'll be a tragedy if in 100 years' time, Scotland doesn't, it's not full of bagpipes and kilts. It's just yet another fucking global homogeny. And basically that's what I worry about. I'm a nationalist, but I'm a liberally minded person. But I think in 50 years' time, if you can't go to Scotland or Ireland or Wales or any fucking where, France, and it looked like the stereotypes, then the whole fucking world's going to lose something. And I liked going to Japan in the 90s when it was Japanese, and I liked going to France when it was adulterous blokes in stripy sweaters. And I think if in 50 years' time everywhere is fucking identical, be you in New York, London, Paris, Rome, or Dublin, it's a fucking tragedy. And I don't see why why it's controversial to say so.
Yeah, there's the dip theory.
It's only controversial to the lefties because the truth is the truth and they can't bear with it. But to everybody else, it's common sense.
It's totally right what you said. I would say you might have coined a phrase there, but it's like pseudo-nationalism or neo-nationalism, because what they do is they masquerade as being interested in the nation state, which is by definition what a nationalist would be. But then they're obsessed with globalism. So the Scottish National Party and the Plaid Cymru and the Sinn Féin will go, nationalism, we want Ireland for the Irish. And then the second they get the reins of power, it's, you want to send 100,000 Somalian goat herders over? Fucking crack on, mate. So how is that a nationalist? it seems to be anybody but the English nationalist. But the choice is very clear. And this is what me and Ragz have talked about, because I don't consider I'm not as conservative as Ragz. And I've said this many times, like the old left-right paradigm is dead to me. You're going to get centre-left people that are very liberally minded and right-wing people that agree, because to me, that left-right thing's gone. I think you're either a nationalist, a real one, or a globalist, because you can be a left-leaning nationalist or a left-wing nationalist. It used to be about caring about your working class, caring about working class communities, certainly in the Red Wall up north. And that's why I am a nationalist.
Well, I am a nationalist in my own way, but I like to say I'm a patriot. But on the point of globalism, I would say about 95% of people who claim they're patriotic or nationalists are just Marxists, and they don't even know what it is to be a nationalist. Certainly not an old school nationalist mentality.
Well, like I said, there are the confusing times to live in, because words now mean nothing. If a woman can be a man and a man can be a woman, I mean, there's the most basic thing. Then words mean nothing. And as we've said, a nationalist now. If you can be a communist and go on TV and say, I'm a nationalist, Ireland for the Irish, these phrases mean nothing anymore. To me, you're either a globalist or a nationalist. And a nationalist, it doesn't have to be about race or religion. Right? If you've got some Hindu bloke who's 3 generations in England and his family moved there in like 1930, I don't give a fuck about those people. Like a lot of them, as the lads I went to school with, and the sound, and I don't have any issue with it. It's the sort of last 30 years where we've ramped everything up by a factor of 20. People used to fit in, and people used to, become part of the community when in the 80s, when one lad moved over from India and the whole school's full of English lads. 20 years later, that kid's fucking English, certainly in his culture and his ways. And they don't cause any problems. The issue is full-blown globalism, where they literally moved over 1 million people to the UK last year. 1 million. It's like 1/60th of the fucking population of the country. And they're doing that year on year. And Scotland and Ireland and Wales will do exactly the same if they get the chance. It will be hundreds of thousands of migrants from everywhere but England. And because they're not from England, they'll call themselves nationalists. It's ludicrous.
But Jimmy Cranky in Scotland there. And Jimmy Cranky lost her court thing for...
That's right. And that night, Ragnar, because of the Supreme Court's ruling, all the grifters calling themselves nationalists were out on the streets of Glasgow protesting, shouting down with the Tories. And yeah, it had nothing to do with the Tories. It's to do with the Supreme Court. But what really annoyed me with all these idiots, they had saltire flags with EU stars emblazoned on it. Now, to me, that is very sacrilegious. And it just tells you very clearly that that person is not a nationalist. He's a bandwagon jumping globalist who thinks that the EU is wonderful, all because it gives freedom of movement. Because one idiot had a banner saying, "F the Tories, I want my freedom of movement back." And I'm like, that's all that concerns him. Being subservient to the EU.
How can you say you want independence for Scotland in the same breath as saying you want to join the EU?
You cannot, because it's whatever's trending online. Hashtag rejoin EU. Hashtag SNP. Yeah, it's all the usual schmiggity gob.
It's like I said, but it's on the face of it, that is a demonstrably ludicrous statement, and that's what the SNP do all the time. It's like saying I want to be a vegan who eats now fucking KFC. Zinger Tower Burger all day vegan. Because she's like, Scottish independence, we all want to have the independence to do our own thing, and then we're going to go back in the EU. Well, then
but you know what that does?
Country, are you?
But you know what that does? That just plays into Nicola Sturgeon's hands. She loves these kind of people, these kind of angry, emotional outbursts, because it suits her narrative, and she can manipulate and hijack people's genuine patriotism and love of Scotland and turn it against them to get what they want. And then at the end of the day, these people lose out. It's just a scam, exploiting people's patriotism.
Exile. Remember they had her under the cosh and had her at the end of the big long table, and they were questioning her.
Yes.
And I can't recall. And she sat there like a fucking zombie. No, I don't remember saying that. You know,
I know.
still, and she got away with it. And then there was all the people that are in the Scottish Nationalist Party donating money. And
600,000 that was unaccountable. And to this day, Ragnar, she still hasn't owned up to any of it. And it seems to now have been brushed under the carpet.
Yeah. Well, but you know the real danger, the reason which, like I said, I'm a black-pilled fella. I think we're totally fucked, and we're not going to get anywhere until things collapse. But that is probably one of the biggest reasons why we're in the state we're in, because the journalists are no longer journalists. They are activists for the parties of the left. So if there's a corruption thing, they'll whinge about Boris Johnson having a cake for fucking 6 weeks, but they won't look into full-blown sex crimes or money laundering or fucking things that you get 10 years in jail for. They won't look into it if they like the politics of the person that's accused to have done it.
Your man, what do you call it, Nigel Farage, done a sting operation undercover about the Albanians in Britain. And they were literally taking suitcases of sterling out of the country.
I know.
Through ill-gotten gains, let's say. Literally suitcases full of money. Taking it home, and then they're coming back again, and they're doing the exact same thing all over again. You know?
This is what I'm saying, though. We're totally fucked. We're totally fucked. It all goes back to Blair, because he started that long march through the institutions, they finished the work. All of the academics, all of the activists, all the professors, all the judges, all the lawyers, they're all leftists. The coppers are leftists, the College of Policing, these are all woke organisations. The Supreme Court that didn't used to exist, Blair made it so you could pack it with these fucking snakes. And we've already lost. And that type of shit is just another thing. It's death by 1,000 cuts. Our economy is never going to recover because it is getting bled dry. It's death by 1,000 cuts. We've got something like 10 million people on disability, which is fucking, as I've talked to Ragz about, Ragz has got fucking wheels. He's disabled. But 9 out of 10 of the people on fucking disability in England are swinging the lead. So we've got that going on. You can't fix it because as soon as you try, they go, oh, you're killing everyone. You've got hundreds of thousands of illegals, probably in the millions, right? They're draining the resources. They're getting council houses. They're using the schools, the roads, the NHS, you name it. And we're totally fucked. And because we've lost control of the institutions, I don't see how we fix the problem. we're not going to get anyone off disability. We're not going to deport anyone. Have you seen how hard it is to deport people now because they own the courts? If you try to deport a rapist, you can't fucking do it. So I don't see where there is any hope. And I'd love to know if you can tell me some, because I can't see any.
Oh, yeah. I would love, believe me, I would love to tell you, but then I would end up having the stream nuked. So I'm going to refrain. I'm just going to say politely, it's not going to take votes to get rid of all these parasites. So you think of that, you make of that what you will, and I'll just leave it there.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I do feel as if we are hopeless because of Blair's nefarious scheme, because it's legalese and lawfare. Whenever you try to do anything that would be popular, because I do despise the Tories because of how wet and woke they are, which is still a symptom of that marching through the institutions. But I really feel as if anything that would be really popular with the masses, you could not do it. Look at the legalese they used with Brexit. It took like 6 years and we're still not really out because of the legalese. Everything we try to do, when they made it illegal to leave without a deal. I mean, on the face of it, that's completely ludicrous, isn't it? You can't get a deal if the other side makes it illegal for you to leave without getting a deal. Well, then they can give you whatever deal they want. And it's the same with everything. It's the same with everything. It doesn't matter whether you're talking about fixing the economy, sorting out the NHS, disability provisions, getting immigration squared away, any of the big issues that ail us, you cannot do it because the Supreme Court and all these lawyers and activists will go, no, we passed the law, so you can't do that. So I don't see how we win.
Well, the thing is with the EU, you're correct there. We aren't out of it. We're only half in, half out. But now with the recent talk of trying to get like a deal to done like Swiss deal or a Scandinavian, but do you know what that is? That's just a stepping stone to pulling the United Kingdom back into the European Union, and we're back to square one all over again.
But I think that's the plan all along. We're
going back in. We're going back in. I'm telling you.
Oh, we're going to be in sooner or later. Much to the delight of all these Remainers who will say, we need our freedom of movement restored. No, we don't.
Yeah. No, I think that's their plan. I've been thinking about it now for a fair long while. And when you watch them put Boris out, I wasn't a big fan of Boris. Yeah, he's another WEF shell. You know, he's so far up Klaus Schwab's arse. Schwab can taste him, you know.
None of them were our people. Boris, I never considered him our man. And even that Nigel Farage, who did a lot of good talk, he made his point and he was a good orator, but he pulled out at that moment and then just abandoned us. I don't believe Nigel Farage really truly believed in Brexit, because if he did, he would not have walked away like he did. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just how I see it.
No, it's what I said about Farage and what he said, and it's on tape. You can actually go and find it. He said, when we leave the European Union, we can bring in millions of Africans. For what? When we were building cathedrals and painting the fucking Sistine Chapel, they were still living in mud huts. They only have got corrugated iron huts because we get it.
I think the fictional history everybody gets now is so egregious and so offensive, but that's another reason why I keep feeling as if, like I said, we've already lost. We just don't know it yet, because that's another example. Like when the commies take over a country, they know they're clever and they're organised, and they know that to get real power you need to indoctrinate the next generation. So Scotland and Wales will get their independence. It might not be in the next year or two, but it's going to happen. Because I read a story about 10 years ago in the Scottish Times, I think it was. It was one of the big papers in Scotland anyway, and it was a bloke, a Scottish Conservative, who said, the things that they're teaching kids in Scottish schools now is disgraceful. It's like outright Anglophobia, and they're rewriting the history books. And when you allow them to take over the education system, how do you get the young people to not be commies when they grow up? Like, it's going to take strong-willed parents, and they're in the minority. So I think they're all going to get independence as well. It might not be soon, but it's definitely going to happen.
That's not including the transgender fucking crap they're ramming down kids' throats.
Everything.
Yeah, I was just going to add that. It's not just communist Marxist crap, it's utter degeneracy. My buddy online, Resisting the Lies, he covers a lot of that. And on Telegram, I've been reading some of the posts from him that some of the material that shows you the classroom, what primary sixes are getting, stuff like how did I feel when I came out as gay, or how to talk to someone who is gay. I mean, why does a 10-year-old need to know all this stuff? Surely that's adult content. But oh no, if you criticize that, oh you're homophobic, you are bigoted, and you should be silenced. That is exactly the problem we are having here in Scotland under the SNP. And as a result, the education standards have plummeted. Scotland used to have the best education system in the world. Now it's way, way down. It just really annoys me to be really thinking of all this. And yet so many people are being made aware of it, but they're so passive and, oh, well, what can we do? What you can do, you can certainly cause a lot of outrage and protests and start making a point to push back. But they won't, because they're all scared of being arrested for wrongthink and for saying the wrong things in case it offends somebody. Yeah, that's the problem we have here.
Yeah. But,
Yeah.
Totally.
When we were kids, I'm older than Matt anyway, I'm 51. But when we were kids in school, you were knocking the crap out of each other. You were running about playing football. When you got home, you were playing army. When you're old enough, you joined the BB or the ACF or something like that there, and it was all guy stuff, going camping and lighting fires, lighting farts, and just being blokes. But now it's. But yes, Johnny, you can be a princess if you want to.
I think
it's okay to cry. Boys could cry. That's what they come out with as well.
Yeah, that makes me sick, that. But the thing is, and this is why people that are conservatives, actual ones, not the big C, fake conservatives in England, this is why this everything you're saying is self-evidently true, because unlike them, where everything's an experiment, you've actually got your own experiences and your own country's history to draw upon, which is why they have to rewrite the history books and lie to everybody. And that's why they do it everywhere, wherever it's been implemented. And things like that is what proves the facts behind what you're saying. Because think of that, like all of us, I'm assuming, are old enough. Obviously, I can't say your man's face there, but I'm assuming we're all past 40. When we went to school, there was none of that. And I was born in 79, I'll send to 79. So I was raised in the 80s and the 90s and the 80s and the 90s. None of that happened. We got sex education when we got to about 13. And there was always a girl who'd faint when the fucking baby comes out in the video. And she's like, you're all like, whoop, And that seems to be because we've got precedent to look at, rational and logical. And certainly because of my generation, nobody was like anti-gay or gay people, because we were told, seemingly correctly, that really you don't have any choice in the matter. I know that might be controversial to one of you two, but the whole reason I disagreed with the Baptist Bible-thumping Christians in America was because they always said it was a lifestyle choice. And I always said, well, I don't agree with that because of my own experiences, because I don't feel like I could have went either way on cock. Yeah. I don't feel like I could have just flipped a coin and went, cock it is then. Like, I was forced into tits. I was forced into it. I got to like 14, all of a sudden I love tits. So it's like, I've never agreed with them on that. And I feel as if that's the proof that you should be able to win over any moderate leftist with. It's like, we weren't homophobic because we got told there was no choice in who you fancied. But because of that, it proves that you don't need to be showing kids fucking drag queen story time or telling them about sucking sailors off when they're 7. You just leave it till they're a normal 12, 13-year-old age and starting to get the hormones raging, and you give them some normal, boring sex education. You don't need to do any of that shit. And nobody in my generation was a galloping homophobe. It proves that it's bollocks.
It's absolute bollocks. And they're getting away with it because there's nobody daring to push back against it for the reasons I mentioned there, because they're all afraid of all the smears and all the labels, and their kids been taken off them by social services. But I will just say one other thing to conclude that. If Scottish parents had as much outrage as those Muslim parents about 5-6 years ago down in a school in England, this thing would have been buried and done. Because they were outside the school protesting against degeneracy and filth, and they won. the education changed it, and it was never attempted again. But it's such a pity our own people don't have the same gusto to do that and have it binned and buried.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, anything you want to show? Are you back online, Matt?
Yeah, I'm here.
Come tomorrow.
Yeah, I was in Denver. I was in Denver for like 4 days, and then I was staying with a mother-in-law for like 4. And we were out down there boozing in LA. Went to a good Scottish pub out there, actually, called the Black Watch Inn. It was really good. Back when that fine regiment existed, before it got nuked by fucking New Labour. But I had a good time, but I really have. Ever since I hit 40 now, when I go boozing, I just turn into a fucking mess. Like, my brain turns to mush. I didn't even remember I told you I was doing the podcast with you. I'm assuming I was probably in the pub when you messaged me on WhatsApp and said, "Do you want to come on?" I was like, "Yeah, man, fuck it." But I'll be back on making videos this week. But I had a week off, basically.
Brooke had said to me you were telling them about your experience while you were away, and there was shit in the streets and fucking everything.
Oh, yeah. I'll make a video about it tomorrow, honestly. I went to a British pub. I go on Google, look for pubs, and found 2 or 3 of them British pubs. So I thought I'll go stick my head in and have a look. First one I got to was called the British Bulldog. There was a full-on homeless encampment outside the country. I took a photo. I'll put it on a video tomorrow. Literally, like, you walk out the pub and there's 50 tramps masturbating and shitting. It's like, it's the worst beer garden you can fucking imagine, because as soon as you go out for a fag, you see 2 blokes knocking each other off. It's a crazy time to be alive. Your man's left now. By the way, you didn't introduce me. Who was I talking to there?
Oh, that's fuck. He's looking to start up his own channel. What the hell, man? Can't even mind his name now. See, my memory. My memory's a bit fucking mush.
Well, they seemed like a reasonable fellow, so be sure to let me know and I'll follow him when he starts a channel.
Yeah. No worries. We're going to have to get off because Resisting the Lies is starting, or has started 3 minutes ago.
Oh, right.
We're doing a Christmas thing, me and Jack. I keep on going to call him fucking Brooke, but his name's Brooke, you know. We're going to talk about doing, getting you on for 15.
Yeah. Well, I'll be sobering up for at least a month now. I do binging because I like staying fit, but I also like getting pissed. So
exactly.
I typically do a week on the piss and then a month on the wagon. So I'll be around. I'll be productive this month. So give me a shout. We'll do this again soon.
That guy's called Exile Viking.
Got
I don't know his real name. I've had him on before, and he is very interesting, very intelligent fellow too. I see with Black Pigeon on the night. He's like YouTube royalty. Black Pigeon speaks.
Oh yeah, I know him. I watch him.
Black Pigeon Pill. Is that the same one? Not too sure. Anyway,
nice one.
I will finish out with my normal thing. Thank you very much for coming.
Apologise for being late, mate. I'll see you soon.
Not a bother.
Take it easy.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming. Anybody that donated to my PayPal or may buy me a coffee, really appreciate it. It does help out getting wee bits and pieces of equipment and things. So I'm going to play with our normal. I'm not going to play out with that, what was that thing? Poland. That got me a fucking slap in the wrist the last time. So I will see you all next week. Can't remember who's on next week. It could be the Taw. I'll check and I'll pin it up during the week, folks. Thanks for coming and good night and God bless, or in my case, Odin bless.